I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up.
Hello everyone and welcome to Lolly's Learning Curve. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's a little sensitive for me and maybe for a lot of you parents out here or out there. Basically recently my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm just going to kind of, ADHD and anxiety. So I'm going to kind of really get into the ADHD portion and a little bit of how it relates to her anxiety. Well, first I want to say that what I noticed first, which was years ago, she's 5 now, and I noticed when she was 3, she was having a hard time focusing. And I know you're like, well, how do you know? It's a 3-year-old, they never focus. It was very noticeable. And she would have irrational fears, very irrational things would just kind of like blow, just, you know, it'll blow your mind, some of the things that was bothering her. And so I talked to her pediatrician about it because there was some other things. She started to regress in certain developmental areas. And so we spoke to her pediatrician, and basically I was telling him that I in my heart, I already knew that, you know, I'm thinking she had ADHD, but there was nothing he could do because she was so young, and unless it was attached to some other learning disabilities, there was no testing that was going to be done. And we would have to wait until she was of school age to get the testing done. So I just continued on. I tried to work around her and educate myself a little bit here and there whenever I could about the subject. Mind you, we didn't put a name on it yet. So I was just, you know, maybe this is what it is. And so if it is, then this is how I'm going to handle X, Y, and Z. So I sought a lot of medical articles online and whatever I could get my hands on. And then, you know, things kind of got a little bit worse, and she started to revert back. Like I said, she started to, some of the milestones that she had conquered, she kind of like went back. And so that was another thing. And again, the next year, I brought it up to her pediatrician again and again. It was like, okay, well, there's nothing we can do right now. And so it was kind of frustrating because I didn't know how to help her. And it was just driving me nuts because I'm like, what do I need to do to make her life easier? And I just couldn't put my finger on it. Even though I was, you know, trying to read this and figure this and try this, I didn't know how to help her because I'm like, okay, well, some of these things, most of it is outside of my scope of expertise as a mom. What do I do to help her? And it was just really difficult. Even now, it's still very hard, but at least I know now some things that can help her. So, well, what happened was we ended up speaking to her pediatrician again during this quarantine. And she's supposed to start school in next month. But, you know, she's homeschooled. She's been homeschooled this whole time, and she was going to be doing online school. So that was pretty much the only way I could get her pediatrician to say, okay, let me have her checked out. So he linked me up with a therapist, a behavioral therapist, because some of her behaviors were very hard to deal with. I'll just give you a few of them. I don't want to put, and please, I apologize, I don't want to put too much of her experiences on the internet, because you know, she's still a person, and even though I'm not saying who she is, I don't want her to feel embarrassed later on in life if she comes across this information or this video. So I'm just trying to, you know, just keep it general for the most part. Okay, so we noticed some things, and so we took her to the doctor. I called her pediatrician, and he linked me with a therapist first, a behavioral therapist. Like I said, some of her behaviors were just off the wall and off the charts, and we couldn't really get a handle on her. Some of her tantrums were just out of control. She was very, very violent toward people, generally toward her siblings. And it was just like night and day, because she's such a sweet, bright, brilliant girl. And then all of a sudden she would just lash out and really, really would go to another level, or harming herself nervously, not just like intentionally hurting herself. She would just like scratch and scratch and scratch until she bled, and certain things that just we couldn't get a handle on. Another thing that she would do is she would take items that didn't belong to her and hide them or store them somewhere. She didn't want us to know that she took it, and then when we did get it, when we did find it, she was just like, I don't know why I did it. You know, of course not. She's 5, so why would she know why she's doing that? So we had to just get a handle on it. So we spoke with I spoke with the behavioral therapist, and unfortunately, but fortunately, my husband, he works a lot, so he's not always here for these appointments. And even if he is here for the appointments, we have 3 other small children that have to kind of be entertained while I am working with the therapist. Usually it's been through Zoom calls. Well, not Zoom calls, but video calls. So anyway, I spoke with the therapist, and we did an appointment, and right away she noticed the fidgeting, the attention issue, and a couple of other things she noticed. And while we were on the call, we were finishing up our call. Actually, we had hung up from the video. She spoke with me, spoke with my daughter, asked her a series of questions, asked me a lot of questions. And when I hung up the phone, she actually called me back because she wanted to, I think, schedule an appointment or something, or give me some other resources. I don't remember. But while I'm on the phone with her, my daughter has a major tantrum. And so she's asking me, do you know what this tantrum is for, or what this tantrum is about? And when I told her what the tantrum was about, she realized, oh, it didn't even make sense as to why she would be so blown up over it. But just to give you guys an insight of what the tantrum was about, my daughter, even now, not so much now, but she does, she makes up stuff in her head, and she believes it so much that now it needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, she has a meltdown. That day she had made up this thing in her head, and she's like, I have to have this done now. And so just a complete meltdown. So she then linked me with a psychiatrist for her. And that's when, of course, the psychiatrist did an evaluation, and then he determined that that's what was going on, that and anxiety. I have a lot of notes here because this is a lot of stuff. So basically, when we were going through with a psychiatrist, some of the things that he was pointing out to me, um, I, it dawned on me that I was doing more harm than good. Um, my personality type, I just like things to be in order, and I'm on schedule with a lot of things, and my kids are on a very strict schedule, which is a good thing for a child with ADHD, which is what I found out. But I get frustrated when things aren't going according to plan. I like things to move at a certain pace. These, my kids are basically the same way because this is how my household is ran. However, my daughter struggles with this, and instead of making it okay, at times I would alienate her and maybe start fussing. Well, come on, we gotta go. We gotta go do this. We gotta do this. And that caused her great anxiety. And so I could see it. And I was just like, and as soon as he said it, I was just like, oh my God, like I am a part of the problem. Poor baby, she can't help herself. And which is, it's very odd that I was behaving in that way. And I'm not going to say was, I'm going to say at times I still do, but it was very odd that I was behaving that way, knowing that, like I told my husband, this is her home, and the outside world is already going to be really, 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 really hard for her. She's probably going to have a hard time making friends, developing in certain areas, and doing all these things. The best we can do is to make sure that home is her comfortable space without giving her too much leeway, because she still has to follow the rules. She still has to clean up after herself and different things. So we're trying to make sure that her house is her safe space, her happy, safe, comfortable place, should everyone's home should be that way, because this is home. So I was just like, I am really making home a rocky place when I am trying to force her into a mold that she just cannot fit in. So I had to take a step back, and I've been practicing and trying to help her better. And what I learned was I was giving her too many steps at one time. So I knew that she had a hard time she has a hard time following directions. And this is as simple as, I'll ask her, can you take this lemon and go and put it in the jar? She, on the way to getting the lemon, something would arise and she would get distracted. And then she would, I would have to get her back on course. She finally gets the lemon in her hand. Now it's a toy, she's playing with it. And now the lemon never makes it to the jar because now she is throwing it up against the wall, And so I had to get her back on track again and say, can you put the lemon in the jar? So now the lemon's in the jar, but now she's playing with the jar. So it was just like a whole situation. So I had to learn to just say, hey, can you go get the lemon? And so she gets the lemon, and she's playing with it, and I'll say, oh, you have the lemon? Yeah, I have it. Well, can you go and take the lemon into the room over there? And she'll take it into the room. Okay. And then so now she's expecting, okay, now what? Can you take the lemon and put it into the room over there and put it into the jar, please? Okay, I'll put it into the jar. And then now can you come back? And so I have to practice that with her, just giving her one step request. So I can't ask too much of her. If I give her 2 steps, it's too much. So one step at a time. And so one of the things that the therapist, the behavioral therapist recommended was that I create these cards, or just give her like little steps, like in the morning, which has been a very rough time. Okay, the first thing you want to do is make your bed. The second thing you want to do is brush your teeth. then you want to wash your face, and then you have to kind of give it like that. So she recommended little cards. I didn't make the cards, but I have been more I have been making more time to just hone in on, or to zone in on, what she's doing, and expecting, that's what they told me, just to expect that she's going to get distracted. And that's what I've been doing, and it's been working for me, just to make sure that I'm creating the expectation. And speaking of expectations, one of them, I wanted to ask to get clarity with her behavioral therapist. And my thing is, when you're doing something over and over again, you think that it's repetition, and so you're like, okay, well, is she ever going to get used to waking up and making up her bed? And the behavioral therapist really helped me settle my mind as far as expecting her to improve. She said she just may not improve for a while. And I'm just like, well, that makes sense to me now, because now I'm not expecting her next week to have this down. We've been doing the same routine now for years, and she still needs help with this routine. And I understand now it's not something that she can control. She legitimately gets distracted. So that's, I had to understand that her mind moves faster than mine, and her mind, as it's moving faster, it is wandering here and there, and she just cannot control that. So some of the things that I want to do with her to kind of help settle her mind, I try to have little talks with her while we're just sitting down. I can get her to calm down. We've been doing breathing exercises for years. She's been doing yoga for years. So we try to sit down every now and again just to kind of get her to calm down, because I just feel so bad sometimes when I'm just looking at her, and I can just tell that she is struggling, just all in here just struggling, and there's nothing that I can do to help her. So the best I can do is to try to help her to calm down. She told me one day out of the blue, this is when she was 4, she said, "Mom, I like I don't even know, white noise sounds when I go to sleep." I don't know where she learned that from. I don't know what it was, but we actually, it just so happened that her sister had wanted a, what is this bear called? A cubby bear. It's a cubby bear. It's a big bear. It's kind of like, it does all these animations and stuff, but it plays Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it also has like the sounds of the waves of the ocean. It has like different sounds that it plays at night. And so since they share a room, I would turn that on for her. And then now she doesn't want that anymore, which is, it's fine. And her sister prefers, her songs now. So it worked out. But that seemed to soothe her mind and help her to relax, to get to her really calm space. And she knew that, and she told me, and I was like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. So this is a lot, guys. I should have started off with this. What is ADHD? ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And it's any range of behavioral disorders occurring primarily in children, including such symptoms as poor concentration, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Let's get to the impulsivity. Sometimes it is almost as though she is on autopilot, but going the wrong direction. If that literally describes what I see. So I'm going to try to make this make sense. There are times where she does not hear anyone. She can't hear. You can call her name several times. You can look in her eyes and see that she is zoned out. She's moving around the house. She is doing little things. She is touching, and she loves to tap on a lot. Everything that she touches, she just taps, taps, taps. But she moves through the house sometimes on autopilot, and I have to kind of like snap her back in. So sometimes while she's in autopilot, some of her behaviors can be destructive. She just doesn't know what's happening. She just kind of like wakes up, oh, okay. And so that was something that I kind of had to understand. And that goes back to her taking people's items and putting them in different places. I know that she didn't quite understand why she was doing it. She doesn't do it anymore. It was actually for like a span of a month or maybe even more, where she was just doing that. So we talked to her about it a few times, and let her know that it wasn't okay to take people's things, and she legitimately would tell me, Mom, I don't know why I'm doing this. And so we just had to like really talk her through that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is medication. We went a different route. We didn't go the medication route at this time. Maybe later we will. Right now they have recommended fish oil, and to make sure that she is taking a good multivitamin that has vitamin D and I want to say folic acid, but we do have her on these omega-3 DHA gummies, and so it's supposed to help her. What I can say is she hasn't been having such terrible tantrums. Some of her, as far as her focus goes, sometimes I guess maybe like if I could put on a percentage scale, maybe like a 5 to 10% improvement. Not a very big improvement as of yet. She was already taking multivitamins, and she has a fairly healthy diet. The gummies, we're still not sure exactly if they are improving, if they're going to have such a great improvement, but they say that this is it works wonders. Something I want to get her is a fidget spinner, and we got her like a stress ball, but it broke. So I want to get her another stress ball because she likes to have something in her hand just to touch. She really likes to touch. So that's something else. Another thing I want to talk about is what I have learned during these appointments. So far, they taught me that although she's a very bright child, her maturity level is younger than what she is, and that helped me as far as setting the expectations that I have for her. So even though she's 5, they told me to view her as a 3-year-old. So she has these moments where you can tell that she's 5, but she does act like a 3-year-old. So I'm really trying to get my husband more on board in that concept. He's struggling more with that. I struggle with it too, but I think that we both have to kind of like bounce off of each other in these certain times where it's like, why is she doing that? She's too old for that. But her mind is not there yet. So that's something that we really have to work on. Another thing is I was very overwhelmed, okay? And I did not know who to talk to. I did not know what to do. I was really struggling. And I did have a couple of family members that I could, not a couple of family members that I could really get into this with to kind of help me. Some of them worked in fields where they did work with children with ADHD, and so they were able to kind of give me some comfort. But what I learned was it's normal for me to be overwhelmed, especially since I have 3 other small children. I can't always cater to her needs like I want to, considering the fact that I have so many other children here. So in a day, it's hard to, do this and do this and do this and do this. So I have to set a schedule, in a sense, for me and my children. It's been helpful. It's also kind of hard to do, but I understand, like, when I am feeling overwhelmed, my husband he has made it clear that I should be able to talk to him, and so that is what I've been doing. And the therapist, if they, they're here for me whenever I need. They actually also gave me other resources. I'm not sure what state you're in, but they've given me what's it called, First 5 California. Maybe there's a First 5 in your state, I don't know. They have different programs available for the parent and children interaction therapy. So I'm going to actually sign that up. My husband's work schedule just changed, so I'm trying to schedule that accordingly, so that he can be involved, because he wants to be involved with these appointments. I learned that I need to let her fidget. If you see a person just like doing all this all around you, you kind of get annoyed. It's like, oh my goodness, like, what are you doing? Go sit down. And so I was, you have to just let her fidget, let her get what she's getting out. Because even though you're annoyed, or I was annoyed by her being around me, can you imagine how annoyed she would be if she couldn't do it? It's like she's gonna burst. So I had to understand, just let her do it. Let her do it, or I will tell her, hey, do you want to go do this? Get her busy. Do you want to help me with some chores? She loves to dust. So I'll say, hey, we're going to get the duster and dust the cabinets or whatever. And so she'll do that. So that kind of gets her, get her idle hands busy. I have to learn to speak to her calmly, even when I'm frustrated in certain situations, because all it's going to do is cause a blow up if I start to apply pressure when she doesn't need it. Because again, I don't know what she's dealing with up here. So if I'm coming and I'm just like, you need to hurry up and get dressed right now, we have to go, this and this, that is adding more pressure to her. And so instead, now what I do is I say, hey, do you need help getting dressed? I will watch you do this. Do you need help? Do you want me to do this for you? Come help me do this for you. And so that has been a little bit better and has helped things run a lot more smoothly. So that's what we've been doing. It's been hard. Okay, it's been hard, but we're doing it. I'm hopeful. I think that it is challenging, but it has helped me to kind of get a better understanding of who I am as a parent and where I can improve to better help my daughter, and actually to help all my children, because we all have our different needs as humans. And so this has really like opened my eyes to who I am, like I said, and where I could fall back, where some of my sharp edges could be a little more softer, where my tone can be checked, where I can offer love in some areas instead of discipline. So this has really just really helped me, and I believe that as long as my husband and I are diligently seeking ways to improve our parenting, and educating ourselves to meet the needs of our family, we'll be okay, and she'll be okay, and she'll feel loved and not left behind and not left out and encouraged. Yeah, so this is, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about that, just in case someone else is going through it. Just wanted to inspire a parent or guardian out there who could be, or even an aunt, an uncle that maybe you watch your niece or nephew, and maybe they have ADHD or an anxiety or something. You kind of want to take the time, and you'll never be able to put yourselves in their shoes, but you can kind of get an idea of what's happening, and just that idea can go a long way, because it will kind of make you more conscious of how you're interacting with the child. And it has really improved our relationship, and I hope that this has inspired some of you out there. If you have any resources that you would like to share with me, or if you have any questions about you know, what the process was like, if you want to get more into detail what the process was like getting to this diagnosis and getting to this point, some of the behaviors, if you have any comments or questions about any of that, let me know in the comment section. I'm here for you if you're here for me. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I have for today. Please share, and yeah, be a blessing to someone. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you so much for watching.